Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dashcast. I am Curtis Dasch, and join with me, as always, is my co-host Brandon Colongo. Brandon, say hello.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Yeah, we got a Week 7 reaction. It was kind of a very fun week, I guess, for especially for the people here in this household, for our teams with the Packers and Bucks. But kind of across the league, there was a few upsets. I think the very first thing I would like to start with, and I think Brandon would appreciate this too, is we're going to start with that Seattle and Arizona game. Brandon, I'll give you the floor here because that was a wicked game. What are your thoughts on the Seahawks?
So I just remembered watching this game, knowing that I picked the Cardinals to upset the Seahawks, and I'm watching this game go on, and sure enough, in the fourth quarter, I said, "Why did I ever pick against Russ? What was I thinking?" And sure enough, right on cue, when Russ, I thought, put the game away, I see Kyler Murray come out of nowhere, basically drive all the way down, touchdown, drive it down, and force the overtime with the game-tying kick at the end of regulation. Just really, really great play. And then you get the Seahawks, they get the ball back in overtime, don't get a chance to score. Cardinals go, set up a very, very doable kick, and this poor kicker misses it. And I was crushed because I thought that game was over. And then I thought that the game was over and that Russ was going to do what he always does. And sure enough, I don't know why or how it happened, but Arizona actually coaches really, really well, and their defensive player got his head around, made a beautiful interception, got them the ball back, got their kicker a second try, and he was able to redeem himself.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway I would say from this game, and I know a lot of people are going to, of course, talk about the Seahawks, and I will very briefly, real quick. I think the biggest takeaway from this game is Russell Wilson finally looked human. 33 of 50. Yeah, he threw the ball 50 times. It went into overtime. I don't care what your excuse is. Murray threw it for 48. 33 of 50, 388 yards, 3 TDs, and more importantly here is the 3 INTs. At least one of those INTs was on a very ill-advised throw where he just tried to loft it up on the run. I no clue what he was doing there, but you can't really insult the guy when he's done so well in the past. Now, that being said, 3 INTs isn't great. Staying with the Seahawks, we have to talk about Tyler Lockett. I mean, I'm facing him in fantasy. We just talked about this off air. That was rough. He put up 58 points. He got 15 receptions, 200 yards, 3 TDs. I mean, mind-blowing numbers. And, of course, DJ Metcalf with that rundown on the pick six everybody likes to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because Lockett is not the fastest or the strongest guy, but he's an unbelievable superstar receiver who's been not – I hate the word underrated because it feels almost like an insult.
Maybe
not
underappreciated.
Been talked about. Underappreciated is exactly what I'll go with. And yeah, I mean, and of course DK Metcalf is the biggest fan of fantasy.
Oh god. Watching that big dude sprint down that field. Whew.
Poor Zane Gonzalez, the kicker for the Cardinals. The thing that was hilarious about it was that to the kick that should have won the game, if he didn't cause the almost delay of game penalty where the coach saves the day by calling timeout in time, but inadvertently ices him.
Ices his own
He
kicker.
makes it. Well, it was Zane's fault because they were about to get a delay of game and have a way harder
100%.
field goal. So you got to actually call the timeout there. And I said, great job on the coach saving his kicker. And then what is it? Poor Zane Gonzalez. Shanks it left. But, all worked out well because the Cardinals get their head around, made some great defensive plays. Oh, there was almost a pick six. I mean, the Cardinals played some great defense.
It was a very good. If you're a Cardinals fan, I think this game was a lot of fun to watch. And of course, you called the upset, and this is both of our dark horse picks for the playoffs. Now, a stat that I actually heard last night: for the first time since 2016, a division in any conference has all 4 teams above 500. Did you know what division that back in 2016 that would have been above 500?
Top of my head, no.
It's the NFC East, believe it or not. In 2016, they were all above 500 at this point. Obviously, we're going to segue into the Cowboys here because we got to talk about the NFC East a little bit. Dallas just gets stomped. The Red Rocket gets hurt. Washington actually gets another win. The Cowboys are looking a little rough down there in Jerryland. Now, the silver lining is that division is super, super weak, obviously. I think a 5 to 6 to 7 win team will definitely get into the playoffs. They're not going to wild card it, but we could see a team with a negative record absolutely host a playoff game again. Are you kind of do you press the panic and blow everything up in Dallas, or are you taking the draft pick? What are you thinking?
I mean, I don't know how you could say necessarily that you blow everything up. You have some really good pieces. Obviously, there's some question marks too, like what's happening with Dak. Is Zeke ever going to go back to the old Zeke? They need a full overhaul of their offensive line because everyone's hurt, and their best offensive lineman was actually their worst offensive lineman when everyone's healthy, but he's the only one left, and they basically have quit. The Cowboys' defense is so bad and such silly putty that they've as a team pretty much quit, and it was really crazy to see them lose so badly. Like I did not expect that from the with the talent that they have on that team.
And I think a lot of people, and I kind of brought this up to you a little bit ago, but a lot of people are kind of, from what I have heard, they think maybe it's time to go out and maybe grab like a free agent quarterback such as Fitzpatrick or even Jameis Winston, or if you're really desperate, Marcus Mariota, who really isn't on a team-friendly deal. But the
I
other two
wouldn't mess with
quarterbacks.
it.
And yeah, I feel like so I'm kind of in the boat to where if you could go get Jameis Winston, why not? Because if I'm Dak, I'm not playing.
But what do they give up for him?
I mean,
Because
the guys
you make this
they're not
you
going to
make
give him
this
much.
sound like they can just get him on a whim, but I mean the Saints need him as their backup.
They have Taysom Hill, who they paid twice, quadruple what they paid Jameis Winston.
Yeah, be that as it may, they still know that they could get a piece like a good piece. They're not giving him up for nothing.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, that's a very good point. I don't know what they would give up besides draft picks, honestly. I just know it wouldn't take much to get him
But the
because
draft picks are all that Dallas has to look forward to.
yeah,
That's a big because think about who they've drafted.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, and they're usually obviously they're good through the draft. And it's not that I necessarily think they should go get a trade. I just don't see Jerry Jones playing hands off while his team goes like 2-14. I just don't see it
Well,
happening.
you shouldn't be hands off. What he should be doing is picking up defensive guys.
Uh,
There's some prominent free agents out there.
can they? But again, I guess to your point, can they? Can they afford him? Because
Yeah.
Winston is on a super team friendly deal. He's only making vets min. You know.
Well, yeah, because the prominent veterans are usually their head case. What is it? Bennett, I think. Bennett's a free agent right now.
Martellus Bennett, I believe. Yep.
No one's signing him.
Is Jadeveon Clowney still a free agent?
I believe so, actually.
See, that's another. I mean, that's another big name that could. But he wants money though. That's kind of the problem there. Yeah, I don't know what I would do in Dallas. I just know it's definitely time to panic. I wish the best for Andy Dalton. I really thought he was going to do well. If they're just starting their the guy that they had, excuse me, not started, but the guy
Earl
backing up
Thomas.
Dalton.
I'm sorry. That's who. Earl Thomas is a free agent right now.
Ah, Earl. Ah, well, another ex-Legion of Boom member, right?
Yeah, that's who I would get.
It's just crazy to me. I don't know what I would do in Dallas. I just don't think Jerry Jones will do anything positive. He's not. I mean, he's not a good GM. He's never been a good GM. But to each their own. I want to talk about the the Atlanta Falcons here for a moment, very very briefly, because this is a kind of a fun conversation. I think a lot of people would differ on, which is strange to me. For anybody that does not know, the Lions actually won the game. There was a minute left. Gurley scored when he was the team could have ran. The Falcons could have ran out the clock. They did a run play. Gurley ran up the middle, realized how, oh crap, like that was wide open, got to the goal line, thought he needed to stop so they could run the clock, slipped, fell, broke the plane, touchdown. So with 1 minute left and no timeouts, Matthew Stafford drives down the field, throws a game-winning touchdown, beats the Falcons. Now, the question is, do you take the points or do you run the clock? And I would like to, what is your kind of thought there? Because that's a debate people have.
Yeah, it's a dumb debate. You take the points, period. Because what he did was like pretty much the worst thing you can do. They took the points while showcasing the defense they have zero faith.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. On your teammates, you have to let everyone do their job. On offense, your job is to score points. On defense, your job is to prevent points. So it doesn't make sense that the offense is going to take it upon themselves. Now, there is smart football where you can run out the clock potentially, but smart football always is taking the score. You got to take the score.
Yeah, I'm 100%.
Because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean,
there's no guarantee you just run it in just because you're on the 1 yard line.
What if you shank the kick and then lose anyway?
Right.
Which is, that's definitely a Falcons thing. That's definitely a Lions thing that could happen too. And actually, I mean, Prater did shank a kick that would have been big for them, but obviously it worked out. I'm in the same boat. I think you take the points. I don't understand how your defense. They are professional athletes facing the Detroit Lions, and I guess they're professional, but I don't understand. There is a minute to go. You know they need a touchdown. Why on earth did he score a touchdown? I'll never understand that. That defense is bad. If I'm their A, I would fire the defensive coordinator, and B, I would rip into my defense like no tomorrow. I mean, they're running. I don't know what I would do, but I would have an aneurysm. I'm having an aneurysm thinking about it.
You got to pick up some guys, basically.
Yeah, they
I mean,
got.
all these are personnel issues. Everyone's banged up. The Falcons are one of those teams that didn't have a great defense to begin with,
No, they didn't. No.
and then they got banged up, and now it's their disaster.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, for the Lions, good for the Lions. They definitely needed that. There's something that probably helped them out, and I'm sure the city of Detroit is very thankful that Gurley scored that touchdown and gave Matty. Maybe Matt Stafford is the new Matty Ice. I don't know. I don't really know if that means anything. Let's go ahead and jump to. We're gonna go ahead and jump to your game. Let's do the Bucks and Vegas Raiders. Brady looked good. What are your thoughts on the Bucks, man?
Well, I obviously they looked great.
Of course.
Everyone they were firing on all cylinders, which is really really cool to see. However, I will say, is the Raiders' offense really good? Because they put up 20 and they were really fighting the Bucks hard. Luckily, Brady was able to just keep scoring, but Carr had that defense on its heels for a little bit of that game.
Yeah,
For
I felt like
most
the
of the
first
game,
half,
actually.
right?
Yeah, I would say almost even like the first three, first half and
Yeah, maybe first.
about a half of that third quarter.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. So I was watching Red Zone and I was watching kind of watching the game off and on. In the first half, yeah, I felt like there was a very command of the game from Carr. There was a very nice command of the game. He wasn't playing perfectly, but I mean, come on, it's. I guess he's not going against Tom Brady, but you understand in the Bucks. I felt like he had a chance, but I mean, David Carr just proves to be David Carr. I don't. I have no idea why people think he was a franchise quarterback. I never thought he was a franchise quarterback.
I think you're
still
being
don't.
too hard on Carr because I think he played pretty darn well. I didn't. I don't.
Statistically, sure.
I mean, now I hate to bring this up, but a week ago, look at what Green Bay and they have a very good offense.
True.
So for Las Vegas to put up 20, and especially they had the Bucks defense on their heels. I thought it's funny because the Bucks defense they give up a decent amount of passing yards. They really shut down the run well. They can take the ball away, but they give up a decent amount of passing yards.
Like you said, that mid third quarter mark, it's like they flipped a switch and just was like, nah, we've
Yep.
got it from here. And I know that's not how it works, but I really felt like that's how it works. And of course,
Well,
Gronk
they
getting a
stuck to their
touchdown.
game plan. They stuck to their game plan. The Raiders were, shooting with the Bucks for a while, but at some point the pressure just becomes too high because, Scotty Miller played great. Brady, had his touchdown throw to Gronk where he just
National Tight
overpowered
Ends
the.
Day.
Yep, and
I mean, even
yeah,
Fournette.
Bruce, Fournette had a good game too. They spread the ball out. That's what Brady does. That's why he's the GOAT. He could actually be knocking on MVP case in a little bit.
I mean, let's just look at these receiving numbers real quick. Scotty Miller, 6 receptions, a buck 09 and 1 TD. Holy crap. Godwin, 9 receptions, 88 yards, 1 TD. Gronk, 5 yards, 62 yards, 1 TD. Crap. Mike Evans, 2 receptions, 37 yards. It's like, okay, so they have these bad, really not bad receivers, really good receivers, excuse me. I was going to swear and I chose not to. Really, really good receivers, and you're adding Antonio Brown to that. Oh, man.
Well, you know what's funny, actually? I think that Brown is a better fit in terms of how Brady play. Well, so here's the thing, actually. Mike Evans, I think, might have been overrated, and here's why.
Okay.
And Jameis Winston threw up a lot of 50-50 balls, and Jameis Winston had a lot of interceptions.
Very true.
Brady threw up a couple 50-50 balls for Mike Evans in the beginning of the year and ended up with a couple interceptions. He has not gone back to that anymore. It seems like he's lost his faith. And that's the type of receiver that Evans is. Like Godwin and Scotty Miller are much more quick. They can do those. So Brady only has to do that 3-step drop. And I don't think Brady really trusts Evans as much with the one-on-ones to fight for the ball. So Brown is actually going to be a really dynamic threat because they can kind of use Mike Evans maybe a little bit less. Or they could use him, obviously, for a specialty. There are a couple of deep throws a game.
Yeah, and with Antonio Brown too, in the quarter and a half that we saw with Brady and back in the Patriots with Brady and Brown, he looked great.
That was the Dolphins, though.
I mean, yeah, but the Dolphins always play the Pats super tough, so that might be something. And of course,
Yeah, but
that's
the
a
Pats
really good
were all
segue.
healthy then too, and they.
That's a good segue because now we got to jump into the Pats here. We got to jump into the Pats in that blowout. I think it was like 33-5. I actually just had the score pulled up and I lost it. I could not
6.
33-6. We were both dead.
Oh,
I
I
mean, I was
believed
dead
it.
wrong on that game. Newton throwing for 3 interceptions. Now I do have to say, Cam Newton looking like he does is proving what I said at the very beginning of the year more and more right. Cam Newton is not who he thought he was. Who he
No,
thought he was. He better start turning it on real quick. And granted, there's nobody to throw
stop it.
to, but
No, I'm not going to let you sit here
I'm
and
doing
act
it.
like Cam.
He,
Yeah,
he
a
thrown for 3 picks.
pass interception.
I mean,
Yeah, because his receivers can't catch the ball. Did you see the pick?
I did see. I saw the one. Was it to
Edelman
Edelman?
deflected it
Yeah.
into the air.
I saw that. I happened to sit down. I almost texted you too because I was like, "Oh crap, here we go, another drop from Edelman."
I'm not going to give. I'm sorry. It's Cam is the guy. The problem is that Tom Brady is was on his flight back looking at
Oh yeah.
looking down at and just really empathizing with Cam Newton, saying, "Man, I know what you're going through." And Brady somehow managed to win 12 games, but obviously it's not fair to expect him to win 12.
Why?
They're not going because
How is that
he's
not
not
fair?
Brady.
That's not. See, that's so okay. So that's what I don't get. Everybody's on the Brady high horse. For the record, Cam Newton went 15-1 and won an MVP. I
Not with
know
this.
he didn't.
His team was stacked. He had a good
15 and 1,
team.
won an MVP. Yeah, he had a good team, but everybody was like, Cam Newton is Superman. He's the best. Cam Newton gets hurt a couple years later, what, twice, and now look at him. The guy
You
doesn't
can't
look like
blame him for this.
I
The
do.
Patriots might as well be the Cowboys.
Ooh, no, no,
Yes.
no,
Put Cam on the Cowboys, they'll be 2-3.
no. You put Cam on the Cowboys, that'd be a different. I think that'd be a different team. At least he's
No, I
got
think
one good receiver who won't drop the
3.
ball at home, according to you.
Well, yeah, that's true. CD?
Yeah, CD is a beast too. Yeah, hit your boy. I always forget about CD Lamb. Can't be
Yeah,
forgetting about CD
they
Lamb.
got 3 real powerful receiver
See, there's
weapons.
no way
But
that team is
anyways,
2-3 if Cam Newton's
it's Bill Belichick's failure to put this team together. He let this team fall apart. This is why you don't get rid of the GOAT, because you're still going to be rebuilding. Look at the Colts.
true. I mean, and another
And,
thing,
and Manning isn't even the GOAT. Manning is just one of the all-time
he's
greats.
one of the all-time greats, just not the great.
So I think this game actually says a little bit more about the AFC East. This week actually says a little bit more about the AFC East than anything, because the Bills, if you look, they barely beat the Jets. And I really thought they were going to really pound the Jets and, do what they were supposed to do and really just put them away, but they let them hang around really unimpressively.
Yeah, a little too long. I mean, Josh Allen, 0 touchdowns. He had 0 picks. I mean, it could have been Sam Darnold to where he had 2 INTs. But I expect a little more from Josh Allen. Like, remember this guy was in the MVP conversation for some people, and now that's 2 weeks straight that he's been a nobody. And you're right. Now the only AFC East team that didn't play this week was the Dolphins. They were on a bye. We'll see them next week with Tua starting, and that'll be, I think, a fun game to watch for many, many reasons. But
Yeah, this week I think said a lot about the NFC West and the AFC East. The NFC West had the Cardinals show everybody they're here and they're for real. This, obviously, the Rams beating the Bears shows that they too are a top contender. The Seahawks, obviously, they are what they are, and Russell. But the Niners, the only team that's kind of, you're not really sure what, they could go either way, because it's like, are the Patriots really that bad? I think the Patriots might be that bad, and it's not Cam's fault. It's Belichick's fault.
I mean, the
I'm
Patriots might
sorry.
be that bad, but the Niners are so beat up that this game should not have been as close. Anyway, moving on, because I know we could talk about that all day. We got the Steelers and Titans. I want to talk about very, very quickly.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
yeah, so both teams 5-0. We both picked opposite, but this was a close game. This was a super close game that could have went either way, and of course, on something that you probably could have predicted, Gostkowski misses a game-winning kick. How you feeling about the Titans?
I feel bad because last week I said that the Titans were better at every position except for quarterback, and I forgot to mention that they're also worse at kicker. And it's so funny because Tannehill actually did what he had to do. It was very Roethlisberger-esque. And then Gostkowski, it was funny too because I was watching this game thinking, he can't miss this, can he? He's not going to miss this. There's no way. He's made enough game winners. And then sure enough,
Oh.
no guarantee they would have won it in overtime or nothing like that. But
Yeah, but
I
there's
don't
no
know.
guarantee they would have lost either. At
I
least they
feel
would have had a chance.
Yeah, I feel robbed. I'm ready to give the Steelers the credit they deserve.
I mean, I don't think less of the Titans for this loss by any
No,
means.
I don't. I'm giving Steelers credit.
Yeah, they're both really good teams. I'm sure we'll see them again. It'll be fun. The playoffs are going to be fun. Obviously, we'll get there. Very briefly, I want to mention the Packers just destroying the Texans. That was great. Go Rodgers, 4 TDs. Just had to throw that in there anytime I can. Oh, we could talk about Cleveland very briefly. Baker Mayfield throw the hero with like 11 seconds to go to the Peoples Jones, who, if I remember correctly, is a Michigan man. That was a heck of a throw. Also, like you're kind of saying about the Bengals, do they have their guy?
Oh yeah, so Bengals have their guy. Congratulations to the Browns for winning it. Unfortunately, they did lose OBJ for the year, but I think actually that's going to help Baker perform better because I think Baker gets a little too Odell conscious, and he tries to make sure that he's involving him, and what ends up happening is he ends up forcing it. And so I think with Odell out, actually, it might end up working out to be best for the Browns. I was impressed by both quarterbacks' performances. So yeah, hats off to both of them.
Yeah. I mean, can't really complain. Both teams seem to have their guy. I don't really know if I still trust Cleveland, obviously. Speaking of a team that might have their guy, let's go ahead and jump to the Chargers and Jaguars game. Of course, the Chargers beat the Jags in what was actually a closer game than I thought, a very high-scoring game at that. I read that the 29-39 was like the 1,059th unique score in the NFL or something like that, so that's pretty cool. I don't really know what the point of that was, but
yeah, it's crazy. That's
like now we know.
Silly stat.
Like now we know, I guess. But yeah, Herbert looked good, man. 3 TDs through the air, 1 TD through the ground. Even when the Jags were showing a little bit of life after that block punt, the Chargers came back and Herbert was able to hold him down.
Chargers got the guy.
See, and I was wrong about Herbert, and I was going to kind of let you talk about Herbert
too.
for a minute.
I was too.
I can't believe it. I mean, he's played well, and I know that this was technically his first win. He played well in the other games that he played.
Hey, he's a West Coast guy that gets to play in LA. I mean, he's that's perfect.
It worked out well for him. You can't really complain. And then very, very briefly, let's touch on the Bears and Rams, and then we'll wrap this up. Nick Foles not looking like the man.
Played off.
If he would have played, and you kind of said this really well off air before we jumped on the cast. If Foles plays that way against the Bucks a couple of weeks ago, I mean, if the Bucks are beating them by like 30 at that point, I think.
Probably, yeah. Oh yeah, they definitely would have ran through them.
I mean, it's so strange to me that the West is so stacked right now. Like, I don't think, and I'm still against being high on the Rams. I do have to say this game had taught me a lot about how Chicago is going to face Green Bay. If Nick Foles does not play well and Green Bay can get at the quarterback, I am not worried at all. However,
yeah, but the question. Carry on. I think I know where you're going with this.
However, if we can't, and if Khalil Mack gets to Aaron Rodgers, that's the only time I'm worried. What were you gonna say? What's your thought there?
I'm worried about the Green Bay's defense not doing what the Rams defense did. I mean, I don't see them doing what the Rams defense did.
I mean, we don't have Aaron Donald. That's
shoot all their defensive players. I mean, Ramsey came out of his slump with an interception.
Oh yeah, good call. Yeah. That was his first of the year, is what you said, right?
Yeah, first interception.
That's kind of weird, huh?
Pretty bad.
Guy got paid. Finally made a pick, though.
Better late than never, I guess. And maybe, who knows, maybe he'll get on a roll or something. And, congrats to the Saints also for beating the Panthers. But Panthers played tough. Bridgewater played great. So
I think you kind of called the Bridgewater playing well, though.
Yeah, that's what I'll take. Yeah, I'll take credit for calling Bridgewater playing well. He didn't play well enough to get the W, though. But it's no harm, no fouls against Drew Brees.
I mean, and it's kind of a lost season in a way for Carolina. Well, not a lost season for Carolina, but a weird one, seeing as no Christian McCaffrey, I think, for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, it hurts. You got to have him back.
At least, I mean, that takes so much pressure off of Bridgewater, too.
Definitely.
That being said, we're going to bring this to a close. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next clip.